Hey, so in this video, I'm going to tell you how to get very lean and ripped without feeling like shit. So, if you follow bodybuilding at all on YouTube or Instagram or social media, chances are you've seen a lot of bodybuilders get very lean, and towards the end of their prep and the end of their cut, they're always telling you some motivational speech about they feel like shit and they're depressed and they feel tired and lethargic and fatigued, but you just gotta push through it, man, because that's how this part of the diet is, something like that, right? Whenever they get to that point, there's a couple reasons why you're gonna feel like shit. However, I don't think every diet has to be that way. And because of the considerations I'm gonna tell you now, which, spoiler alert, go hand in hand with keto, because I'm big into the keto dieting, because of those considerations, which don't have to be keto, right? They don't have to end up making you follow a keto diet, but they're very conducive to a keto diet. So those recommendations I'm going to tell you are going to go a long way to make you not feel like shit and actually feel good when you're in the leaning, very depleted part of your diet, of your cut. So as far as it comes with low-calorie diets, you're always going to risk sacrificing your performance and your vitality when your calories are really restricted. So on one hand, right, the prerequisite for all of this is that you don't deplete your calories by a ridiculous amount. But even if you do, you're going to want to listen to what I'm about to tell you. And what I'm about to tell you is a lot of the macro-based approaches that you see these bodybuilders following. So if it fits your macros, macro dieting, there's a lot of good and bad ways to do them. However, they all tend to be low in fat-soluble vitamins. So, what are fat-soluble vitamins? They're vitamin A, E, D, and K. And basically, when you are following a typical macro diet or a bodybuilding diet or anything if it fits your macros, which is very common, they're very common diets. And I'm not saying this to roast macro dieting. I'm just showing you the worst side of them, which happens to be their most common usage. So those diets tend to look something like this. Carb source, right? So rice, pasta, bread, bagels, right? Sandwiches with a little bit of protein. And then you got like a chicken breast, whey protein, maybe with oats, stuff like that. You've seen all the mixtures, like whey protein with oats and like a little bit of chocolate chips and like a little bit of peanut butter, right? So we've seen all those things on these bodybuilder YouTube pages, and a lot of them, some of these people do hit close to adequate amounts of fat, right, in their diet, because you don't need a high fat diet, but you need an enough fat diet. So with a lot of these bodybuilder fitness plans, meal plans, right, they tend to be very devoid of nutrients altogether, right? Those diets that I just said, that's basically excluding the little snacks you are allowed to have on a macro-based diet. Because when you are, eating those main meals, so clean carb sources, if you're doing it right, and, basically white meats and if they're lucky, like a beef or steak or a good red meat with some decent, like, healthy fats in there. Basically, when you're following that type of diet, you're very limited in the terms of the intake of fat in general, especially because the extra snacks that you're allowed to have, as long as they fit your macros, tend to be the more carby snacks, right? You never see somebody saying that they wanted to have like a big fatty steak for their macros. They never really fit that in. They tend to fit in like the cookies or the ice cream or something like that, or the frozen yogurt, right? Something like that. And there's better ways and worse ways to do that. However, most of the most common bodybuilding cutting plans tend to follow that sort of regime. And when it comes to not feeling like shit, like I said, there's that whole calorie thing, right? Don't go too low. And when you do, get better vitamins and nutrient intake. Now, the other side of the coin of having really low fats, because like I said, I'm not a high fat guy, right? That sounds funny, a high fat guy. Fuck. So basically, you don't need high fat to lose weight. It's not actually going to be the best thing for you to lose weight when you're doing a high fat keto diet. You need an enough fat keto diet. And basically with any diet, you need enough fat, because when you don't have fat all your energy is carbs, right? So when all your energy is carbs, you're A, not getting any fat-soluble nutrients, which are very important and very hard to get from actual foods, and B, your whole metabolism is glucose. So basically, if you don't eat, your energy levels and your vitality levels, your happiness levels, everything's going to be going up and down, up and down, up and down, and you're going to be bouncing back and forth on a roller coaster of feeling like shit most of the time and feeling good sometimes, typically after you've just cursed out your girlfriend because you needed to eat some food, something like that, right? That's typically how it goes. Girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. I'm just making funny examples here. So, on one hand, when your diet is too low in fats, right, whether you're ketogenic or not, you are not going to be getting nutrients. You're going to be on that roller coaster, and additionally, you are going to be making yourself more hungry because of that blood sugar spikes, right? And without the actual fat-soluble vitamins, they actually have a double whammy effect, because when you're not getting, example, vitamin D, right, in your diet, right, and you're not actually having it absorbed through it, getting enough fats for it to be absorbed by. And when you're not getting vitamin D, your mood actually will go down a lot. And anybody who lives in like a wintry place that gets harsh winters like I do in Canada, you should be very familiar with how like you get that little bit of sadness or depression in winter, because when you're not getting vitamin D from the sun, you know, you're going to start feeling it in your mood and noticing that. And obviously it's different when we're talking about intaking that with actual food. But when it comes from actually, even with the sun, you have some evidence of how it will affect your mood and your behavior, and most of all how you feel. But when it comes to actual dietary intake of these nutrients, vitamin D, again, is literally, when it comes to bodybuilding and keeping your muscle mass and growing your muscle mass, like, if you were having adequate amounts of vitamin D, your strength could actually go up on a cut. Mine is doing that right now. I'm increasing my strength as I'm dieting, and I'm still in a pretty good, like, 500, 600 calorie restriction, and managing my food with perfect appetite. I still have like 500 to 700 calories left, depending on how many calories I burned with my cardio today. Small cardio, like 10 minutes. I feel great. My strength's going up, and you know, I'm also training properly, which I'll make other videos on. But when it comes to bodybuilding and cutting for the aesthetics, for the look, you will benefit from actually including these fat-soluble vitamins on the aesthetic level, besides actually how you feel. Even with just vitamin D, it does a lot for cell repair, for muscle tissue, for skeletal tissue. It's almost like a hormone. It has a lot of anabolic effects on your actual body's muscle building abilities. And that's only vitamin D. So when you actually include those fat-soluble vitamins, not only are you going to feel better, but you are going to get better results out of your actual diet. And, the diets that I'm criticizing are mostly if it's your macros-based dieting, but the micros will really affect how you feel. The macros will affect how you look, right? But the micros will too, because if you don't have enough certain vitamins that are useful in muscle repair, then you're not going to retain as much muscle, right? Even if you're eating your amounts of protein, because you need certain amounts of fat to absorb these fat-soluble vitamins. And if you're getting your fat from, a scoop of peanut butter in your oats, you know, an inflammatory omega-6 fat like peanut butter is not the most optimal. You need to be getting clean, most of the time, animal-sourced fats. And example, even some eggs are a great source, right? I can get into topics of lists of what else would be a good source of animal fats or other good fats with fat-soluble vitamins in them. However, most of the time it ends up being red meats, not like bacon and shit like that, like a good steak, but mostly eggs, right? Red steak and eggs is a great one, but there's other things too, because like I'm not going to recommend you go out and eat liver, because liver is basically the best source of vitamin A and D, which are both fat-soluble vitamins, but it's not really for everybody. So there's a bunch of other sources as well. Cod liver oil is great, even cod liver, which you can buy, but I've never seen in any grocery store. Anyways, so, and other fish like sardines, herrings, stuff like that, those are good. I like the herrings a lot. I actually bought them for the first time today. But when it comes to getting those fat-soluble vitamins in your diet. Whether you're keto or not, obviously, when you're consuming fat and making fat your metabolism, as ketogenic dieting does, it's going to be a lot easier to get those fat-soluble vitamins in your day, and a lot more enjoyable because you won't have the extra appetite to force yourself to get those in, right? So that's just the practicality element of this. But as far as it comes for doing any diet properly, because some people do keto diets wrong too, and when it comes to doing any diet properly, right, you want to maximize your performance, maximize how you feel, and also, of course, maximize your fat loss and muscle retention. And including the fat-soluble vitamins in your diet are a great way to do that, especially if you're doing a keto diet. So if you're not doing a keto diet, look into one. I have plenty of other videos on how to do it, and I would love to help you out personally with any questions you'd have. So seriously, leave them in the comments and I will answer you. I will do whatever I can to make videos on these topics that you guys want to learn about, because this is a passion of mine. I'm very interested in the bodybuilding side. I'm very interested in the ketogenic dieting side, and that is just something that I think is a little less common on YouTube. You rarely have somebody who is, well versed in both, and I am. I've been doing both for like almost 7 years now. So, I've done a lot of things the wrong way, a lot of things the right way, and I'm at a point where my progress really has improved by practicing what I preach and preaching what I practice, right? What I'm even preaching here, but the fat-soluble vitamins, even for me, for example, of course I'm eating good fat-soluble sources, right? Sources of fat-soluble vitamins, like some good amount of eggs, some steaks, beef, basic things like that, and other clean fish sources, right? And at the same time having consistency with cod liver oil intake, other fish oil supplements that are helpful with actually absorbing these fat-soluble nutrients. And besides the fact that I use those in a couple other supplements, I know that because I've had my nutrition in check and had a healthy amount of, example, good animal fats and proteins like eggs, for example. I have eggs every day and whatnot. That's just one example. And keeping my nutrition in check has helped my strength, and my training, of course, has been in check. It's helped my strength. My strength is going up on a cut, very slowly, but it's going up, which rarely happens for anybody on a cut. And I attribute that mainly to a lot of the high nutrient intake in my diet, because I've dieted many ways, in many times, without high nutrients, and the typical bodybuilder diet is not high in nutrients at all. And you really want to avoid dieting that way because, like I said, it's going to make dieting a very unenjoyable experience for you, and I am all about making dieting a very enjoyable experience. I do it so often now, every year, and for so much of my time is taken up by dieting now, but it's really second nature to me, and it's perfectly enjoyable even when I get to the depleted stages. And as long as I play my calories right and stick to what I'm doing, what I set out to do, I really do feel good on my diets. I really do. And ketogenic dieting is such a crucial key to all of that, but that's just me personally. You can do whatever you like, but either way, I'd be happy to help you on any of your dieting and bodybuilding fitness endeavors. So please let me know in the comments whatever you'd like to see, and I'd be happy to help you out. So thank you for watching. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.